Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from the Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6, where sleeves are optional. Strap in. The show starts right now.
¿Cómo están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge coming to you live from Hangar 6. I'm Mike. This is Eva. We are the thickest podcast in sports, and we have got a busy fucking day. Just got done doing some coaching. Had some plans fall through this morning. It's all right. We're going to reschedule, and we got golf this afternoon after we do this fantastic podcast. How's your day going so far, man, before we kind of start breaking down into some of the stuff we want to talk about?
Well, it's been pretty short-lived so far. Woke up after a night of drinking, playing some pool at the bar last night.
Hell yeah.
Had to break up a little bar fight. That was cool.
Beat the shit out of each other.
Didn't get home until the wee hours, and then slept until coming over here for a little bit of Lineman Lounge action. So it's an early day so far, but like you said, it's jam-packed. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, from local sports to last weekend's sports and possibly the greatest weekend of playoff football ever, arguably.
Yeah, I think it probably was.
And then we'll go over today's or this weekend's games for the championship weekend. And then after that, we've got a little whack fuck. Gonna go play some golf.
A little whack fuck. Yeah, man. So we'll start with some of the local stuff, man. So this morning, our 10U Rams had a NFL Play 60 game. Played very well. Again, at one point, so we got up 26-0. And then we started, rotating kids, getting the big boys, the big boy package, letting our linemen kind of run a little bit. Graydon got to sling it around the yard a little bit. Tried to throw a shovel pass, and it did not go at all like it was scripted, but ended up winning that game after a very weird morning. So we were getting some coffee over at the Dutch Bros, and they got the two lines. So we're trying to, we order our coffee. We're moving up in line, and it's supposed to be like every other car, right?
Yeah,
fucking normal traffic.
You zipper.
Yeah, zipper the fucking traffic. The lady to the right of us, I think she had ordered before us, but we were zippering, and then she was not having it. She was trying to cut producer Amber off. We were also not having it. Come to find out, said lady, her son played on the opposing team today.
Oh,
that was interesting. Our kids played great. We kind of expect that at this point. We've been coaching these kids for a very, very long time. We got a new kid, Caleb. He is never played football in his life. So this is first time soccer player. So, he's quick.
For flag, those skills lend themselves.
They do,
as long as
but
you can catch.
He doesn't necessarily understand the fact that, hey, you know what? You might get bumped, just keep running, man. Just keep going through. Yeah. And so we get a little bit of stopping, but we're working. That's the job as coaches, coach him up, get him ready to go. Once he started to kind of get his feet under him, started to understand a little bit, played a little bit better. I'm going to get that kid in the end zone at some point this year for sure. It's kind of my goal to get everybody in the end zone throughout the season. But we also want to win all these games. So we're going to start with that starting O, get a little lead, and then we'll start having some fun. But I had a great time. I love doing the Play 60, especially because, I've known these kids for 4 years now, as long as I've been here almost. So coaching the same kids for that amount of time in flag and in tackle. So, but that's, kind of my local thing, but we do have actually some other local sports that we want to talk about. We're from Sierra Vista, Arizona, pretty small town. We're about 40,000 ish people.
I'm not sure what the last census really counts, but I don't think it even involves necessarily what we have going on with the Post.
Right.
So it's like having almost like another small city within your city. So you have a lot of service members and their families located on the installation close by that don't even count. So our city is a little bit bigger than what the census might even start to show that it is. But either way, we are still relatively small.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not a big community. And typically when you're in those bigger communities, you're going to start to pull a lot of different athletes, better athletes, because there's a bigger pool to pull from. So when you come from a small town and you have a group of young ladies go out and do something like this group of ladies did, it's actually really special. And it's something that we should applaud as a community. So the Sierra Vista Elite, they are a cheer group. They were up in a competition in Las Vegas, and they absolutely crushed it. So I got some of the information here. Now I am trying to get with the director of the Sierra Vista Elite, get some more information, maybe have her on so she can talk about it. But these girls did fantastic. So the Sierra Vista Elite Royalty placed second at nationals. There are over 100 teams that were there competing in Las Vegas, and to have second place as a national group, that is fantastic.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
But that's not just the only group that did something there. So they also have the Sierra Vista Elite Queens. They got first in their division. The Princesses, first in their division. The Blaze, first in their division. Royalty, second. Ember, second place. So this is a group of very, very talented young ladies who went out. And I know one of these young ladies, personally, we know her as Sherilyn. She is, family friend. She's actually becoming kind of our babysitter because the girls love her and will listen to her. I wish I knew how she did that and made them listen. But they work their ass off. I know Sherilyn is constantly practicing, constantly working. And this is a really special group of young ladies that we want to highlight and celebrate, because this is not a small feat, coming from a small town and competing against hundreds of other teams from around the country in Las Vegas. I believe one of these groups actually has a full paid-for bid now out to Atlantic City because of how they placed at this tournament. So congratulations, girls. Great job. Way to rep for little Sierra Vista.
Yeah, and I don't think that this is an abnormal thing for these girls. I think that they are usually going to these Vegas tournaments and placing very well.
Yes.
Which, obviously it takes talent from the girls out there cheering, but obviously the coaching system that they have here, phenomenal.
It's working.
If they're able to do this year in and year out and continue to build up and make better teams, it's that synthesis between athletes and girls putting in the time, putting in the work, and then really superb coaching. So that's awesome that they're able to do that. I know people sometimes don't consider cheer a sport.
Right.
I can tell you, as much as people like to joke about it, it absolutely is. These girls are out there, they're getting injured. They are they're
there's
doing
some dangerous
very
shit.
Physically challenging feats out there. There's a lot of hard work and dedication that goes into it. If you haven't watched the show Cheer on Netflix, that'll give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on with that. Competitive cheer is no joke. It is something that definitely takes a lot of skill. They end up pulling athletes from other sports because they're high tier in that sport, and they're able to utilize some of their skill sets in cheer and really go above and beyond what they were doing in the previous sport. It's pretty awesome what these girls are doing, and definitely cheers to them. That's awesome. Thank you for representing our town so well.
Absolutely. And I believe their coach's name is Christy, and what I have here on my phone from the caller ID is Christy Navarro as the head of that. We're going to try to get her maybe on the show at some point so she can actually talk about those girls in a much more maybe eloquent and more concise manner than we are, because I don't have all the information.
Well, that's the thing. We're not Jeff Garcia.
No, I'm not Jeff Garcia.
We never cheered.
No.
So we can't really talk about it, can we?
No, I mean, if you've never done the thing that you're talking about, you should just shut the fuck up. Like Mina Kimes should never report on football again. Or every other person who is on ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS, NBC, they should all stop talking about sports. We shouldn't be doing this show.
Absolutely.
If you are not a politician, don't vote because you don't know what you're talking about. So let's fucking get into that, because I've been waiting to talk about this. I know we got Niners fans who watch the show who are waiting to hear about this. guys, if you call in right now, we're not going to answer. We're going to get through this, and then if you guys want to call in, feel free to bring it in.
We will put up the hotline number once we get into the actual football segment.
Yep.
Probably closer towards the end of us talking about last weekend's games, because we want to get through this beginning portion, talk about these local sports, these other little news stories, and then get our fans' takes on the games happening this weekend, maybe a little bit of last weekend stuff. But Mike, go ahead. I know that you specifically stated on the socials that you had some words concerning this story.
Jeff Garcia needs to shut the fuck up. This is the most asinine thing that I have ever heard. Like, you guys just heard us do our little rant about, oh, if you've never done it, you shouldn't talk about it. Like, that's the kind of shit that this man is saying. Now, this is a former NFL quarterback, so he knows the position. He understands the scrutiny that these quarterbacks are under. I get that. But to come out and say that, well, you've never done it, so you shouldn't talk about it, is the most asinine thing that I have ever heard. Maybe.
We'll see about that, Goose.
Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense. We have people all over the country who are doing these jobs as sportscasters or who are not former athletes in that sport, but they understand the game. And Mina is one of those people who absolutely fucking understands the game. She is brilliant when it comes to talking about football. She's very analytically minded. So I am a big fan. As a Browns fan, I've become much more entrenched and, liking and understanding analytics, something that as a younger player, I was like, it's bullshit. Now, analytics is a huge part of this game, as it should be. Not too much. If you're a Chargers fan, you wish you would have kicked field goals. But, I mean, it is a massive part of the game, and she is absolutely the top of the top when we're talking about analytical understanding of the game and being able to speak about it. She's not saying Jimmy's a bad guy. She is literally seeing the analytics and saying, listen, he has not played up to par. He is not helping this team win. And fucking Niners fans can see it. I can see it. I'm sure you can see it. He is a part of the team. He is not the reason the team is winning by any means.
I believe the quote that she was talking about, and it's a meme that's kind of been going around, is that the 49ers got an A on the project and Jimmy G was just kind of part of the group.
Yes.
But he wasn't. Normally, your quarterback is the shining star out of your group, and it's just not the case. Look, Jimmy is what Jimmy is. He's an average NFL quarterback. He has some highs. He has some bad lows. But in the playoffs, he just has not been phenomenal. The stats can back that up, but eye test can back that up as well. And all that Mina was doing was reporting on the fact that he is not doing anything special in the playoffs right now, not enough to really warrant being looked at as a long-term solution for this team.
No.
We've seen B and C rate quarterbacks take their teams into the playoffs and go far, like a Trent Dilfer, which is who I compared Jeff Garcia to.
Correct.
Jeff Garcia. Watching him play when I was younger, he was a good quarterback. Not
for a
great.
Little while.
Yeah, for a little while. Not great, not horrible, but he definitely was that high-tier backup quarterback to spot starter. He could play a couple years for your team as a starter.
Yeah, I mean,
but
he
you
had a
weren't
couple
expecting
of
the world.
He had a couple of Pro Bowl years.
But that was throwing to guys like Terrell Owens.
Exactly. When you have one of the best wide receivers in history, you should be able to make a little bit more plays, and he absolutely reaped the benefit of working with T.O., and that's also ultimately what ended up getting T.O. out of San Francisco, because that relationship became fractured because T.O. lauded the performance of a backup in a game where Jeff Garcia was out, and Jeff Garcia didn't like that.
Yeah.
So Jeff Garcia has issues with people talking about quarterbacks, like, if you don't play the fucking position, you shouldn't be talking about it. That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard. It doesn't make any fucking sense. There's a ton of people who have not played the game who understand the game. Look at all these goddamn NFL head coaches. There's a lot of these guys that did not play in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got Sean Payton, someone that we'll talk about. This guy was like, he was in the league, technically.
Yeah.
I don't know that he ever threw a touchdown. I don't know that he threw more than 30 passes total in his entire career. You have guys that are not good at the sport when they're playing it, but they absolutely understand what they're doing.
Yes.
They understand the sport. Just because they don't have the physical gifts doesn't mean that they don't understand what's happening and can't be good in the realm of football. Now, look, with Jeff Garcia, if you had come with an argument of, you don't understand the pressures that you're under as a quarterback and this sort of thing, it would be very different. He kind of tried to personally attack Mina Kimes, saying, you can't talk about this if you never played football. That was like the direct quote. Don't talk about this if you've never played football. She's never played a snap of football in her life. That doesn't matter. You can have people who are physically disabled, unable to physically compete in some of these sports, and they might know the game better than a player just because their focus is completely on the X's and O's versus being able to put any sort of physicality into the game.
And we see players all the time who don't always understand the rules. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to be like, oh yeah, so he plays. It doesn't mean he understands the game fully.
So Joe, I see your comments here. I have to disagree to an extent. All right. They're shit stirring, but that's the point. They're there to entertain, and Jeff was pissed. Twitter is the devil. So
I don't disagree with that.
Twitter is the devil. But Joe, if you look at those quotes from him, he was directly attacking Mina Kimes, saying that she needs to sit in a corner and not talk about football because she's never played it. That is paraphrasing, but
it's not, because he didn't say as a broad overscope. He specifically said her name in this response. Now, is this in response to the thing that Mina said on, I think it might have been Get Up. Yeah, but he called her out by name in what he said. And there's no way you can say, like, it was talking to Mina. She's never played. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know about all the misogyny things that people were trying to put onto Jeff Garcia. I don't know if he had that, if that was his intent. That's the way a lot of people took it, because she is a woman that she has never played. But if you look at it at the broad scope, still saying that, okay, you shouldn't do this because you have never played the position. He's talking about all fucking reporters, and that's asinine. Like, we don't have every player who has played in the NFL cannot go on TV and be successful and, tell us about the game. That's not going to happen. Now, we have some really good ones. I talked about Marcus Spears being one of my favorite guys. Really good NFL player, also really good on TV, but that's not the norm. That is the exception to the rule. Most of these guys are not great in media. I love Drew Brees as a player. I do not ever want to hear Drew Brees call a fucking football game again. No.
I mean, I don't mind him, but it's not the best. But Joe, he did single her out. If you pull up the tweet, it's tweets straight from his account singling out Mina Kimes. He was saying in there, we can actually pull up the tweet, I'm pretty sure. Might as well. I hate this computer.
Let me... Jeff Garcia.
So this is his direct quote. Who the hell is Mina Kimes, and when was the last time she threw a touchdown pass in a game? Never, ever. Has she taken a snap, or can she truly understand the ability, the mindset, the physical toughness that it takes to play quarterback position in an NFL position? The fact that there are people out there giving a platform to talk about that they have never done is hilarious, and that's how you look at her. She is a joke.
Boom.
So let's just laugh at her and support Jimmy. Root on our Niners, go out and beat the living fuck out of one more team. That's what it takes. She will never know the feeling. Can I get an amen? Peace. This was a quote tweet, and it's been obviously sent around. That's Jeff Garcia QB5, his Twitter account. So that's not a show or anything. That's him directly calling her out.
She is a joke. Mina Kimes. Has she ever taken a snap? This is directly talking to Mina. Now, I understand 49ers fans are going to back Garcia. They're going to back their guys. The quote, this doesn't make any sense to me. And we've talked about it, like how I don't understand why you go and make this comment. Now, if you say these people in the media don't know what the hell they're talking about, let's go support Jimmy. But this is a direct... shut the fuck up. You've never played.
And like we said, Joe, he does call out media in general, but to start off, he starts going at Mina Kimes, and he comes back around and starts saying her. he's speaking about Mina Kimes and her comments specifically. Mina's reporting. She's reporting based on the facts, which is the analytics that are out there. You can't fault a person for doing correct reporting. Realistically, she does better reporting than a lot of hit pieces that are put out there that are just garbage pieces by lesser analysts and lesser reporters. Her reporting is pretty damn solid. Doesn't mean that everyone has to agree with her takes on things,
right?
But she's at least backing it up with factual information. How he's 2 for 5 or whatever it is now as far as touchdown interception ratio, that sort of stuff. That's the type of reporting that she's doing. And then for him to come out and say you've never played the game, you don't understand it, you shouldn't be talking about it. That's a bit much. I understand if he wants to back Jimmy G, if he wants to back quarterbacks, if he wants to explain how difficult the position is and stuff like that, but you don't need to be taking it out specifically on a reporter for reporting the facts.
Right. That's exactly what
it's kind of like suppressing things outside of your echo chamber. And that's not something I'm personally into. But like I said before the show, I honestly didn't give a whole lot of credence to this whole thing because I was like, Jeff Garcia, you're irrelevant right now with this stuff. Like, there's probably a lot of people backing Jimmy G, a lot of homers that are backing Jimmy G. But like I said, I think most 49ers fans are kind of like, is Garoppolo the guy or not? I don't know. So it's.
Now, I'm not disputing what Joe's saying here, that it was she was clipped and it was directly sent to him. If it was Max Kellerman, he probably would have said the same thing. I don't disagree that he may have said the same thing. I'm not saying that what he was trying to do was misogynistic. I don't think that was ever his intent. But the whole argument doesn't make sense to me because then there's no ESPN, there's no Fox Sports News, there's no CBS Sports Desk. There's none of that shit because most of these guys haven't played. And everybody has their favorite like sports people, right? Mm-hmm. Some people like Coward. I'm not a huge fan. Sometimes I really like what he says. Most times he pisses me off. Marcus Spears, love the guy. He's played. Mina Kimes, one of my favorite people. I think she is absolutely brilliant in the things that she understands and is able to kind of give to the fans. Max Kellerman, I don't hate Max. I don't like Max, but he's not bad. Stephen A, there are times where Stephen A gets me fucking jacked. And also times there's like, Stephen A, you need to shut the fuck up. Yeah. But these people have never played. So we can't just be like, oh yeah, well, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't. He may have gone and done the same thing to somebody else. That's irrelevant in my opinion. The comment doesn't make sense in totality for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps that.
portion
up.
Yeah. So now we're gonna pop off of the negative. Let's hop back to some positive. We had some more local stuff that we wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Sierra Vista boys basketball team, Buena Colts, won another game last night, 72-60 versus Sabina SaberCats. And while that's awesome, the big part of the story is that this is their 15th win in a row for the Buena Colts. All right. Awesome. Currently, the team is number 1 in the 5A Southern standings here in Arizona and continues to be ranked number 1 in the 5A division in the state with the high school polls. So this team is doing outstanding. This Buena Colts team is dominating here in Southern Arizona. So big time congrats to them and their coach. Might mess his name up, but Tyler Molesworth. 15 wins in a row, doing awesome this season for the Buena Colts. And so we'll continue to watch them as they go along, be rooting on the Buena Colts. Their next game is at Buena High School on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. versus the Saguaro Cougars.
All right, let's go Buena. Good for those guys, man. I mean, like I said, we are a relatively small town and we are playing at 5A division. Mm-hmm. That is a tough ask when you're going against some of these Tucson, Phoenix teams. Like there are some big time schools and they're killing it right now. Good job, guys. Keep that shit up. We're going to keep an eye on you guys and we'll keep everybody posted as we find out some more shit. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Any more local stuff?
I think that's pretty much it for right now.
We had the non-sports sports story with Mina and Jeff. So are we ready to get into some actual sports stuff?
I think so.
All right. So we going. You want to go UFC or you want to go baseball first?
Let's knock out that UFC bit.
All right,
so
cool.
last weekend we had a big UFC match going on.
Yeah.
But the big name out of it, or the big names out of it, was Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane, which it's kind of interesting because Ngannou is, heavyweight champion, defending his belt. One of the probably biggest names, if not one of the best ever heavyweights. I mean, there's, Stipe is, incredible. And right now, I think he holds that title as the best heavyweight of all time.
I think so.
But Ngannou absolutely might be the most dominant heavyweight that we've ever seen.
Yes.
And if he is able to continue fighting as a heavyweight in the UFC, he could definitely take Stipe's title. Now,
that's a big if based on contracts and some of the things that happened prior to that fight and in that fight.
We've talked about it. The UFC does not pay their fighters very well. And this was the end of Ngannou's contract.
Yep.
And what goes on here going forward with him in the UFC is a little bit contentious. But either way, so the fight happens last weekend. Ngannou ends up winning, and he wins in a fashion that we weren't necessarily expecting.
At all.
Gane and Ngannou both are big time strikers. They've got cannons in their arms. And we see Ngannou go out there and have a ground game.
Yeah, a very, very good ground game. Was basically able to control him for the majority of the fight when he got him down.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect it. I was like, "Whoa, man, this is a really good game plan switch up," because everybody's expecting Ngannou to come out and start throwing bombs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I expected Cyril to kind of do the same. I did not think this was going to go all 5. I expected a knockout second, third round, because when you get two just physical specimens like that throwing bricks, somebody's typically going out, and that didn't happen. And Ngannou changed up his game plan, took him to the ground, dominated down there, and if that's something that he can continue to do, then we're definitely talking about Ngannou is the best heavyweight of all time, because now he's more well-rounded. He can beat you multiple areas because you don't want to stand in front of him and throw, and if he can bully you on the ground, you're in deep shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And what makes it even more impressive is that after the match, he was wearing knee braces on both knees, just kind of padded compression on both knees. He had a torn MCL and a injured ACL that he's having surgically repaired now. He was essentially fighting on one leg, and he was still able to have this dominant of a performance. And that's not a knock against Cyril Gane or anything, because Gane actually held up well against him. And I think going forward, if they have another match in the future, it could be a lot closer. I think Gane's going to come in way more prepared. That was kind of my thoughts afterwards. Was Gane fought him very well. He just wasn't prepared for the ground game because no one was expecting it. Yeah. If they fight again, it will be a very close match. Gane might have a chance. The problem is
he's going to be out for a while.
So
he's going to be out for a while to get better on the injuries, and we don't know if he's going to sign another contract.
Yeah,
he's in talks with Tyson Fury for a big money fight in a boxing match, which if that happens, I'm absolutely fucking tuning. I'll even pay for that one. I pay for all of the UFC.
Of course,
fights.
We always pay for all of our fights. The thing is that UFC fighters don't get paid very much.
No.
I'm going to have the numbers wrong, but I'm going to just ballpark them here. It's something like for professional boxing pay-per-view, there was something like $13 million paid out for the past year to professional fighters in those pay-per-view matches. And then in the UFC, which we have a big-time UFC every single month, and multiple weeks sometimes in these months do we have the big UFC matches, it's something like 1.3 million was paid out to fighters. But then you look at boxing, and I think most people who are even somewhat in the boxing realm would struggle to name off 5 fighters that are like elite big time fighters. It's very difficult to do that anymore. Whereas with the UFC, in all these divisions, you've got tons of superpower.
And these guys are really good on social media. They are really good in promotion. because they have to be, because that's where a lot of their money is coming from, because they're not making a ton during the fights.
Mm-hmm. Now, like you talked about, there's a possibility of Ngannou doing some boxing and stuff like that versus Tyson Fury and whatnot. It makes sense for the UFC to go out, offer this guy a contract, a nice size contract. He's not even asking for a boxing size contract.
No,
he's just asking for a lot more than what he's getting, but absolutely what he's worth. It makes sense for them to do that because then they can represent him in these boxing matches and they still get a cut. And like I said, the boxing matches, they get paid more. So let's say they go out $20 million for this boxing match and Ngannou gets $5 million. UFC is still walking away with way more money than they had before.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they did with Conor.
It's a win-win for them to represent them and have Ngannou be a part of their brand. But egos are getting involved at this point.
Yeah, and as soon as you start getting egos involved, especially with some alpha personalities, fucking alpha male, like it just it never goes well.
My issue with this as well, this last card, we talked about it. There's not any big names on this card, right? But you have one of the best stories in UFC about Ngannou getting arrested 7 times trying to get out of his country to come and become a fighter.
Yeah.
The TV or the movie rights have already been sold to that. Like, he's an incredible story, and the UFC doesn't promote it at all because they know that this guy wants more money and they don't want to pay him. So the bigger he is, the bigger contract he's worth. This could have been an absolute monstrous pay-per-view. And they put a whole bunch of shit on the card. No disrespect to the fighters, but
no. Well, so the fight before them was good. The Moreno and Figueiredo fight, that was a good fight.
It was a very good fight, but still, it wasn't as big as some of the other cards that you have.
Those are not named very good fighters there. And I love Moreno, but they're not selling like.
And I thought Moreno won that fight too.
I did too. I actually did get we were sitting at Dave and Buster, yeah. We were at a Dave and Buster's, and they had it on in the bar area. So if we got there, like, oh, you could wait 90 minutes to sit in the bar area or go sit down right now. I was like, we'll sit down now. And then I still had a perfect shot at the TV. I was like, this is fantastic.
But, it feels like Dana White and the UFC is specifically doing what they can to not give a whole bunch of credibility to Ngannou. So they're able to go back when they try to do negotiations, be like, well, look at your last UFC. It didn't get a whole bunch of pay-per-view.
That's because we put
purchases
crap on the card.
Yeah. They're trying to cook the books a little bit to make it look like he's not as important of a fighter in the UFC right now when he absolutely is. It's disappointing. I want Ngannou to get paid. I want these fighters to get paid correctly because at the end of the day, UFC is still going to make their nut.
They're going to make so much fucking money. And the UFC is harder than boxing. Like, it is way more wear and tear on your body than boxing is.
Absolutely.
And they're not getting paid anywhere near what these guys in boxing are getting paid, which is a shame. So.
Yeah. But either ways, Ngannou wins. He retains the heavyweight championship, and he did it on one leg. And we're looking at probably a year before we see anything going on because he doesn't have any more fights left on his contract, but he does have a year left on it, which he's going to take probably most of that time rehabbing that knee.
Yep.
And getting ready, and then we'll see what ends up happening. It would just be a shame to lose him out of the UFC lineup.
Yeah.
But for his purposes, I absolutely hope that he takes the time, gets the deal that he deserves.
Yeah, get your bag. Absolutely. I mean, since he's got a year left, I mean, he would have to fight in 6 months, but he doesn't have anything left on his contract. So that year, while he's the champ, I mean, he can still get paid for being the champ. So get that money, rework your contract, get healthy, and then I cannot wait to see him back in the octagon. And if it's not there, I am absolutely tuning in for fucking Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou.
Absolutely.
So,
all right. So Baseball Hall of Fame, Mike.
Holy shit. All right. Well, we got a massive story that we're going to get to in just a second. All right. So Major League Baseball had their vote for the Hall of Fame, and only one guy gets in, David Ortiz. Guys who get shut out, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. Okay. So you guys have heard me talk before about how Major League Baseball just constantly fucks up the things that they should be really good at, like promoting their fantastic players. David Ortiz is an all-star. He should, he is a Hall of Famer. He should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. But to keep guys like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens out is asinine. The baseball writers of America don't know what the fuck they're doing. They are too goddamn old. They do not understand the youth of the game. People, for me, I think a lot of people my age, I don't give a fuck if they use steroids. That whole fucking era used steroids. You can't just erase all of that history. It's there. Barry Bonds is arguably the greatest baseball player of all time. Home run leader, 7 fucking MVPs. And he did quite a bit of his damage when he was in Pittsburgh and then went to the Giants, and that's where some of the PEDs started happening. David Ortiz was popped for PEDs early in his career, one time. He still makes it in. But guys like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, 300-game winner, that doesn't happen in fucking Major League Baseball anymore. He should be in. The baseball writers are wrong. They're 100% wrong on this. You have got to, if it's the Hall of Fame, you're talking about the best players of all time, then the best players of all time need to be in the goddamn thing. Otherwise, what's the fucking point? Yep. It doesn't make any sense to me. So
absolutely. Well, I did a quick search here to see exactly what you were talking about.
Found it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Brady has announced that he's retiring from the NFL after 22 years in the league.
Oh my! I'm really glad that this happened while we were live, and we didn't have to kind of do like a emergency podcast.
Yep.
What can you say about Tom Brady that it hasn't already been said? He's the GOAT. He is the greatest winner of all time, at least in terms of the NFL. I would argue that he's probably the greatest winner of all time across all sports, because the NFL is the hardest place to win championships, and he's won 7 of them. He is a kid that was not highly recruited, came in as a 240-something pick. I don't even remember the number, and was absolutely the driving force behind the greatest dynasty that sports has ever seen in the New England Patriots. He goes and leaves the Patriots, goes down to Tampa. People take less money to play with this guy because he is that special, and he wins another one. We're not ever going to see another Tom Brady. We'll see guys who maybe get close. But Tom Brady is the gold standard for what you would want out of a quarterback. He's had a fantastic career. Congratulations on everything that you've done. Congratulations on retirement. Enjoy it. Go be with your family, your wife. And at some point, if he decides to get in the media, I'm totally down for that, because these last 2 years that we've seen in Tampa, Tom's got actually a little bit of personality and kind of a cool, funny guy that we did not get to see a lot of in New England.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what he does here in his second career outside of the NFL, because I can only imagine that guy has some incredible stories of his time with Bill Belichick, the different things that, he's seen and been around his career. I mean, over 2 decades of being one of the best quarterbacks ever, being around a lot of different types of personalities. Yeah, I think he's going to have a bright future ahead of him still, in whatever endeavor he takes, even if it's just sitting home with his supermodel wife, Giselle. He's going to have so much time to mouth kiss his kids, his boys on the lips with a little bit of tongue here and there. Awesome for him. And congrats, Tom. You're the GOAT. I don't know that there's really much of an argument to be made. Congrats on a phenomenal career. And I'm glad that we were able to break this on the show today.
Yeah, me too, man. My phone is going absolutely fucking ballistic right now.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that is, man. I thought it was coming. There was reports that it might happen.
Yeah, we saw a couple days ago, after the loss, that he was contemplating it, thinking about his family. I personally said I didn't think it was going to happen because he had been talking about how he wanted to play until he was 50. But it's good for him to go out on his terms, decide when he wants to leave, not just make an arbitrary number of 50 and say I'm going to play till then. If he's doing it for his family, his health, and everything, then that's good on him.
And I think that was kind of some of the things that came out was he wanted to spend time with the family. He wanted to be there more for them because Tom could keep playing. He's still got it. There's no doubt in my mind. But man, 22 years, that's a long time. And to be at the top of the league for that long is unbelievable and truly special.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, where do we go from there? I mean, so we got MLB, we got UFC, we got the crazy Tom story. We're going to talk some of the coaching hirings before we get into recap of last week.
Yeah, sure. So we've had some front office moves in the NFL over the past week. I can't remember if the Joe Schoen hire for the Giants at GM happened before last show or not, but he was one of the more sought after GM candidates. The Giants hired him, and then to complement that, in the past day or so, the Giants hired Brian Daboll, Bills offensive coordinator, as their new head coach, which I think is an outstanding hire for them. I love the GM pick, and I like the head coach pick for him. It'll be interesting to see what Brian Daboll is able to do there in New York with Daniel Jones, who I don't like as a quarterback, but to be fair, he has had a very rough go of it there with his coaching options. Daniel Jones, the owner, came out and said, we have done nothing but screw this kid over since he's been in the league, because they have just rolled through so many different offensive systems that don't fit with him. Some people have compared, Daniel Jones in size and capability to a Josh Allen. I don't know if I completely see that. I think we're trying to connect dots that aren't necessarily there, but it'll be interesting to see if Daboll can pull some of the talent out of Daniel Jones.
Well, now we will find out, because Daboll's the perfect guy to see if he is kind of that Josh Allen type guy. But I was actually talking with some buddies last night on Facebook, and I don't like Daniel Jones's chances to stick around. I mean, Danny Dimes has had a rough go. I think he will be there, but they're going to bring in some competition.
Yeah, they need to.
And it's going to be Mitchell Trubisky, because he was just in Buffalo with Brian Daboll. He is a former starter with a winning record. And
can't throw left, though.
I mean, well, I don't know what has happened while he's been in Buffalo, but that's the perfect competition. You bring in Mitch. He's a free agent. He is going to come on the cheap. He is going to be competition for Danny Dimes. And then Daboll can see, maybe I can make one of these guys go. If he does, he looks like a genius, right? If he gets Danny Dimes to play up to the caliber that people think he could play, or if he gets Mitch Trubisky to look good, he's a fucking genius. And it looks great. He brings in Trubisky, and they have a competition, and it doesn't work out. He drafts a guy next year, because this year's quarterback draft is not very good. And he resets his clock, gets some more time with his guy. It's so perfect. It makes so much sense that I don't know if the Giants will do it, because that's the Giants organization.
Yeah.
Now there's some the pieces have moved.
They've made positive changes. They're taking the steps in the right direction, which before, with Gettleman coming back and Joe Judge being the head coach, I don't know that you really had a whole lot of confidence from anybody in those moves as far as personnel. But Schoen and Daboll are both two big names that are well respected in the league. I believe those are going to be good hires for them, and it's steps in the right direction, which is all that you can ask for.
Yeah. What's up, Torres?
Yeah, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah. So I'm excited for Daboll. I think the Giants can get better. Their moves have been smart. I'd be very interested to see what happens with the quarterback room. But my call right now is Mitch Trubisky's going to the Giants, and they're going to have quarterback competition going into next year.
I could definitely see that. So elsewhere around the league, we have the Chicago Bears, who needed a GM and a head coach. They went ahead out and hired Ryan Poles, executive from the Chiefs organization, to come in and be their new general manager. This move kind of made sense in a way, because Ryan Poles, offensive lineman from Boston College, blocked for Matt Ryan. When he came in the league, he was undrafted, spent a little bit of time with the Bears, but didn't make their actual squad. So he has some familiarity around the room there. But he was someone that they went hard after. He was actually like my 1A candidate by the end of the process for my Minnesota Vikings. I like Poles a lot just because he's been through multiple regime changes there in Kansas City, and they keep retaining him, which means he's obviously got something.
Right.
So they bring him in, and then they go ahead and make a head coaching hire. They get the defensive coordinator from the Indianapolis Colts, Eberflus.
Yeah, so Poles is a great get. I think there were a lot of teams that were hot after him. I know your Vikings were. The Eberflus hire, I don't know that I like. Now, I like Coach Eberflus. He was great for the Colts defense. They were very good. But you have a young guy in Justin Fields. I felt like you would want to bring in a offensive-minded head coach. Now, maybe Eberflus already has somebody in mind to come in and be his offensive coordinator, and that was kind of part of the thing that got him this head coaching job. But when I have a young quarterback like that, I need an offensive mind who can really help shape, mold this guy to be who we drafted at, I think, 14 is where they drafted him at?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Somewhere in the middle of the first round. But this is you spent a first-round pick on this guy. You got to develop him, grow him. Justin Fields had flashes of brilliance, and he also had some flashes of, oh, no, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was not a good rookie year for him.
No.
He obviously showed that he has something there, but not it didn't look great. And I don't like to write off a quarterback after their first year, rookie year.
Well, I've done that with one guy already.
I know you have. But I think that they still could have something there with Justin Fields. And I think that anyone that you bring in there, as far as the GM and the head coach, they have to have that same thought and mindset, is that the story is not over with Justin Fields. It is interesting. Like I said, you said you liked Eberflus. I actually liked him a lot too. I think that he's a good guy for a head coach. I don't know if it's the right situation there in Chicago.
So that's where
but at the end of the day,
he deserves a spot somewhere as a head coach. I just don't know if that's the right place for him to be.
The thing is that with a head coach, it is way less about the X's and O's and more about a vision for the team and personnel management and understanding how to run an organization. And if Eberflus is the guy, then by all means, go out and get him. If he's the one that you think that can take your team to the promised land, go get him. There are those questions of why not go for more of an offensive guy, because you could help mold the Justin Fields. But these coaches, when they get hired like this, they already have a staff not locked up, but they've got guys that, they go in an interview saying, this is who my offensive coordinator will be. And if not him, it'll be this guy. These are my couple options for who my OC and DC are going to be and why you should hire me, because these are the guys that I'm bringing with me. They're going to have someone there in place, obviously, at offensive coordinator that Ryan Poles and the Bears organization thinks can work with Justin Fields and help him progress into a good NFL starter.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out for him. Like I said, I like Eberflus. I think it was good for him to get a head coaching position. I didn't see him going to the Bears. I thought it was going to be a Leslie Frazier or potentially a Brian Flores, which still, those are defensive coordinators.
Yeah.
I thought Dable was possibly on the table for him. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's less about the X's and O's, less about the offensive, defensive side of those head coaches, and more about how their vision is going to work for that team and how they can manage an entire roster.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping the best for him. I don't have any ill will against the Bears. I know they're in your division. My dad born and grew up in Chicago, so he's a Bears fan. So I hope for my dad's sake that Bears do pretty good. We'll see though. They still need a lot
North
of work there.
might be
a fucking crapshoot next year.
Up in the air.
Yeah,
we'll see,
to say the least.
Yeah. So other than that, we've got my Minnesota Vikings. They went out and made their GM hire. They got my 1B guy. The person who originally during the beginning of the process is the guy that I said that I did want. And then I didn't sour on this guy, but I kind of moved towards Poles. I was kind of like, I really like what Poles brings. But I'm very happy that we were able to go out and get Kwesi Adofo-Mensah from the Browns organization. This guy's got a pretty awesome background in my opinion. He didn't take the classic route of, starting off as an NFL scout or anything like that. He went to Princeton, for his undergrad, got his master's at Stanford, went and was a commodities trader on Wall Street.
Big brain guy.
Yeah, very, very smart. From what I've watched videos of him talking to the media and stuff like that, you can tell that he's not one of those guys that is highly educated using big words in conversation for the purpose of just throwing out the source words.
Mm-hmm.
He's very eloquent in his speak. He's thoughtful, smart, and you can tell this guy has some education behind him. But I will say, as a caveat to that, he's 40 years old. What he did almost 20 years ago doesn't really matter as much. It just shows that, hey, you were obviously able to get into a good school because you were smart, and now he's profited and worked from that education that he earned. So he went from being a commodities trader to going in the R&D division over in San Francisco with them through their kind of Super Bowl runs, and then ended up going over to the Browns, and is essentially, the position isn't, they don't have an assistant GM, but he is essentially the assistant GM for the Browns.
Yeah, and if Andrew Berry gives you a ringing endorsement like he did this guy, that speaks volumes. Andrew Berry is one of the most respected GMs in the league, and he hasn't been doing it that long. He was one of the most highly sought after GM candidates when we got him, and we were very lucky to get him. And I'm happy for you guys. I think it's going to bring a little bit more analytics to your guys' squad, which is a good thing.
It's interesting because, everyone views Creasy as an analytics guy.
Mm-hmm.
And in his interviews, he's like, everyone wants to frame me as the analytics guy because I've got this data-driven background. He's like, analytics is not a term that I heard when I was on Wall Street. It's not a term that I heard when I was in the NFL. And he's like, but I understand why people refer to me as an analytics guy. He's like, I like to think of myself more as that research and development guy, and that he likes to be able to operate in the uncertainty and use data to help drive that. He is all about, I want to take the data points from all sorts of different sources, which he admits, he's like, I'm not an NFL scout. He's like, I understand now. I've learned the background of football and what scouts are looking for, but when a scout says, hey, this guy's got top tier arm talent, he's like, I ask why.
Yeah.
Because I might have an idea of why, but I want to know why from you. What makes you believe that this guy is good at whatever he does? Takes all these different data points and stuff like that, and he's able to synthesize them together to kind of come up with an idea of a game plan. He's not the guy who has scars in the past from this was ingrained in me, and this is how we do business.
Right.
He wants to be able to adapt to any situation and take in all sorts of information in order to make a good holistic idea and good holistic choice, critical thinking, which is absolutely something that I'm looking forward to. When a guy is able to come out and say, we have scouts.
Yeah.
Their job is to scout and understand players. That's not necessarily my job.
Yeah.
My job is to listen to them, to hear their points of view, and to weight these things correctly in order to put together the best team possible. I like that he's not selfish, that he's not hard-headed. All this is talk in interviews. We'll see how it goes. But there's been a huge outpouring of support for him, whether it's John Lynch, Andrew Berry, other anonymous sources through front offices that keep on saying he's going to be a rock star in the league. The Vikings franchise is in good hands going forward because this guy is going to do phenomenal things. I'm really looking forward to it. One of the things that he said that I thought was actually really interesting was most NFL rosters are able to go out and make long playoff runs and win. He's like, we're talking about the fringe margins. That's what you have to really focus on, because NFL teams are chocked full of professional level talent. He's like, it's getting that little bit extra on the fringes and stuff like that that can tip your team over into being a winner versus a loser in any given game. We see that looking back at it, we see it this year. You see teams like the Jaguars go out and beat a Colts team.
Yep.
Right? We all know the Jaguars are not as good as the Colts, but what were they able to do? They were able to work in those fringe margins and beat a Colts team that they had no business beating. If you're able to take an average NFL roster and you're able to do just those small little things right here and there, that can tip you over into becoming a winning franchise, along with long-term good picks, good personnel management. I think that's just a recipe for success, and I really like his mindset on the whole thing. So I'm very happy. The light's back on. One, because we got Cam, Quincy Adolfo-Mensah. Two, because of what happened over this past weekend in the playoffs. We'll get into that here.
We're going to get that in a little bit. But so speaking of some wounds being open, some bad tendencies, what do you make of the Raiders going out and talking to Josh McDaniels for the head coaching job?
I'm not necessarily against it. They wanted to make that flashy move. Josh McDaniels is a bigger name, someone that other teams have been seeking out for a while. It sounds like this deal is probably really close to being done, where the Raiders are going to bring in Josh McDaniels, and then I believe the guy's name is Dave Ziegler, also from the Patriots organization, as their GM. It sounds like last night, apparently, they went out and had dinner with Raiders ownership, which usually is a sign that they're just hammering out the final details. McDaniels, when he was with Denver, obviously did not do that well. He had Tebow on the team as his quarterback and stuff. We could make a lot of excuses, but first-time head coach, he's got all the personnel decisions on his lap. He was the guy there. Now going in with a GM where he can focus more on the team and the offense and things like that, it could be a better situation for them. I didn't know who they were going to go get because, there were talks of Harbaugh and stuff like that.
Yeah, big name guys. We've been talking about that.
But
still think they should have retained Bisaccia. But
absolutely. I would have loved to have seen them keep Bisaccia, but it's the Raiders. They're going to go out. They're going to try to get their big name. And this is the guy that they think is their big name right now.
Yeah, and so with them possibly bringing in McDaniels, it looks like he's going to be the guy. What happens with Derek Carr? Is he traded? Do they bring in, his guy, or do they write it out with Carr for one more year? There's talks of trades. Cleveland has been mentioned several times, obviously possibly looking for a new quarterback. So I don't like McDaniels either, and it's because of what he did to the Colts. I'm not even a Colts fan, but that left a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah,
and so that does not look good for a locker room. If things get going a little tough, if something else pops up, maybe he just fucking bounces in, because he's always got a job out in New England. Mm-hmm. Always. That's always his fallback.
Which it's a little surprising that he's leaving, because honestly, kind of figured that he's a shoe-in to take Belichick's job when he leaves.
Yeah, but when the fuck is he going to retire?
I don't know.
I mean, Tom just did. Maybe we'll get another breaking news story today. I don't. And if that fucking happens, who's not going to go be the head coach of the Raiders? Josh McDaniels. He'll be back in New England.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
A heartbeat.
But that's what we're expecting to happen there, is that McDaniels will end up heading over to the Raiders.
Yeah.
God, do we have any other head coach hirings? The Giants, you had the Bears. We have this possibility of McDaniels. I feel like Josh McCown is getting his second head coach interview now again with the Texans.
I don't know if he needs to be a head coach, but he needs a coach. He needs to be a coach somewhere.
It sounded like it was a done deal for Leftwich to go to Jacksonville, and then things sound like they fell apart at the final moments.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
That might still happen. However, they're starting to interview more people now, when it was kind of talked about as being a locked up deal for him to go down there. What's up, Dave? How's it going, Vanilla Gorilla?
Vanilla Gorilla. I actually I hopped on Dave's stream last night, watched him murk some dudes.
Nice.
You can, if you want to check out the Vanilla Gorilla, you can go on the YouTube, or he also has a channel on Twitch. $20 is $20. He fucking absolutely murks people on what the hell game is that? Call of Duty. Yeah.
Yep. Warzone.
Yeah. TV12 is no more. Yeah, Warzone. Thank you. So if you guys like video games, check out $20 is $20. If you guys want to interact with us, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, we have a new TikTok. We're going to get one of those in today to probably wrap up the show, reintroduce ourselves to the TikTok world, and have a special message for the company of TikTok.
Ni hao.
But we got McCarthy. Jerry's saying he's safe. I don't know if he is. Dan Quinn declined head coaching jobs. He's coming back.
We did have Sean Payton step down from the Saints job, which is interesting. I guess he probably stepped down to go spend time with his wives. Maybe. Or maybe he just wanted to go after some other movie deals and have Paul Blart Mall Cop play him in some other movies or something.
No, he's gonna be a professional hitman. That's what he does, right? Takes out hits on
contracts.
players.
Yeah. A lot of people are going out there and saying thank you, everything for you did, Sean Payton, blah blah blah. Yeah, did they win a Super Bowl? Sure, but also he's had a pretty fucking bad,
checkered past. Now, great coach, brilliant mind, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but also not necessarily the greatest, the most shiny example of the way you should operate.
Yeah, maybe not the best person.
I mean, you'll have that, and well, no, I'm not gonna do it.
Fun note, though, his mouth does look like a human anus. Go ahead and Google that.
Big fans over here, Sean Payton's.
Yep. So I expect that, my gut feeling is that he's not going to do anything this year. That'll take a year off. But I think that he ends up with the Cowboys organization within the next 3 years.
We did miss one coaching hire, and this one's going to be massive. Hackett goes to the Broncos.
Yeah.
So Denver Broncos hire Nathaniel Hackett as their head coach. He was the offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. And there is a possibility that the Green Bay Packers will no longer look like the Green Bay Packers next year. They will not have a Hall of Fame quarterback at the helm because he could try to force his way out and go to Denver, somewhere that he had already talked about trying to get to.
Yep. So specifically just speaking on Hackett, he seems like a good head coach, in my opinion, as much as I hate the Packers. He's done good with that offense there. He is a well-liked guy around the league and from his team. I think he's got that good personality to be a head coach and is, especially after Quinn backed out of the hiring process and is going back to the Cowboys. He was their second guy that they wanted. So it's good for them to go out and get him. And then, if you're trying to bring in a particular player, you might as well bring in one of the coaches that he wants to play for, which is Aaron Rodgers. There's already been that connection to Denver. You might as well go out and get his coach from Denver.
Yeah.
Or from Green Bay to come in and be your new head coach there in Denver.
If they're going to try to make a play for him, that's the smart way to do it because Aaron can veto any trade he wants, and that seems like a place he would want to go now. He knows the guy, knows the weapons. Everybody's talking about, well, Aaron's not there. What's going to happen to Devontae? Devontae is a free agent.
He is a free agent.
He won't be a free agent. They will not lose Devontae for nothing. He is going to get the franchise tag because if Aaron leaves, Devontae's not re-signing. They will franchise tag him, and then there will be a dispute. I can see a sign and trade deal happening. And if that is the case, Cleveland, I dump all of our first-round picks. The fucking Rams don't need first-round picks. Neither do we. Go get fucking Devontae Adams. I don't care if it takes 3 ones. I do not give a fuck.
3 ones.
I'd give up 3 ones for Devontae.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
2 ones and maybe an extra, third or some change or something like that I could see, but that's a lot.
2 ones and a 2. I mean, he's going to be on the franchise tag, so he's going to take at least 2 ones.
Yeah, you can always redo the franchise tag.
Yeah, well, they won't transition tag him unless they're morons. But then again, Gutekunst is not necessarily the brightest bulb when it comes to GMs either. So
we will get into it, but the Packers season is over.
It is.
And so I've already started to look towards the offseason for them because why not? They have the second worst cap situation in the league, which I don't know how. They obviously have Aaron Rodgers, who's going to command a large salary. They have Devontae Adams, who's going to command a large salary. I don't know where they're really spending the rest of this money on their team. Obviously, some of it's on the defense with those linebackers that they brought in, Zadarius Smith and stuff like that. But I believe that they've very big time mismanaged their cap situation. I had no idea that they were this strapped.
$44 million over next year.
I found out researching this a little bit more. That's why they didn't get OBJ. OBJ was wanting to go there before the Rams. Because Aaron Rodgers made such a hard push to get Randall Cobb back in the building, they did not have the money and assets available in order to sign OBJ to anything other than the vet minimum. And he wasn't going to take that.
No.
That's why they couldn't get an OBJ on their team. That's why Aaron Rodgers couldn't get more weapons, was because he wanted his boyfriend from the Texans.
Oh God.
Not great. But
Not
either way,
great.
Aaron Rodgers has since come out and said, I don't want to be part of a rebuild. I'm going to think about what to do, blah, blah, blah. Look, if
Aaron's not retiring, I don't think. I
so,
do not think he
I don't
retires.
know. If they can work out a deal with the team that he wants to go to, like a Denver
or Pittsburgh, I could see that, which would
I
fucking,
can see
I'd
Denver,
hate
I can see Pittsburgh, I can see Indy.
Indy would be insane.
Other teams that need quarterbacks, I don't think are going to be places that he wants to go.
Nope. Those are the only 3 places that I think he would even consider going.
So if they aren't able to work out a deal, if they take the route of, hey, we're the Texans with Deshaun Watson and we want all of this stuff and we're not willing to step away from it, because look, the ball is not in the Packers' court on this one
at all.
They don't have the leverage. Another team knows, hey, if I'm the Broncos, I know Aaron wants out. He wants to come to me, and otherwise he's going to fucking step away. Packers, we'll offer you something.
Yeah.
But we're not going to offer you what he's absolutely worth. And it has the Packers organization kind of bent over at that point. They've got 2 options. They either trade him for less than he's worth, or Aaron goes, well, bye, I'm going to go fucking host Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Which is what I, of course, hope happens.
Yeah, of course.
Because that just fucks the Packers over the most.
Yeah.
They don't get picks in return, and they lose their Hall of Fame quarterback. Right? So
yeah, so that's what
I'm hoping for. And then Devontae is going to go,
well,
I don't want to play with Jordan Love.
Yeah. No.
I don't want to play with Jordan Love. You can franchise tag me, but I'll fucking sit too, because my boyfriend just fucking left. He's done.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you're still over the cap.
Yeah, by a lot still.
Yeah. So
they are in a bad
that
way.
Would be, and by offensive coordinator. They're
going into a rebuild. They have not admitted it yet, but they are going into it.
They have to. Look, if they somehow were able to get Aaron Rodgers to say, okay, I'm going to run it back, and Devontae say, I'm going to run it back. Sure, you find a way to resign both those guys, but you've got to gut your entire rest of your roster.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to gut a lot of veteran good players. Any progression we saw in that defense is kind of getting gutted.
Gone.
Right?
Done.
The team is going to be struggling. And Aaron has come out and said, I don't want to be part of a rebuild. And that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to rebuild around those 2 guys if they want to have any chance. And it just ain't going to work out.
It's not. They're fucked. They're so screwed. And I know this makes you so happy to hear.
Look, I've had to sit through the past 2 to 3 decades of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and hearing all this bullshit from this fucking cheese-loving goddamn team. And it is finally coming to an end.
It is. It is coming to an end. And it's going to be
catastrophic
cliff.
I love it. And when I look at the landscape of the NFC North next year, as of right now,
it's a fucking crapshoot.
Vikings have the best quarterback.
For now.
It's Kirk Cousins. Now, I'll get into that too. I'll get into what I think is going to happen there. But Kirk Cousins, then you have Jared Goff, Justin Fields, and Jordan Love as your other 3 QBs.
Yeah, you guys have the best quarterback right now.
I think that our team situation is the best overall there.
Agreed.
It could be time for the Kings of the North to return. Now, for my Vikings,
I would love to see the Lions be competitive, but I don't know if they will be.
I think that they're going to probably be number 2. The way that they're trending, make some good moves this offseason. Dan Quinn. They're going to have a good team going forward. I think not great. It might be a couple years, but they'll be competitive. They got to get the quarterback situation figured out with Goff, of course, but that'll work itself out over time. The rest of their roster is getting better. For my Vikings, though, real quick, I think with having a guy who is, and I'm going to try to find a way not to say analytically minded, but with a new GM in Kwesi, he's going to take and model himself after other teams like the 49ers, right? So they had Alex Smith. They go out and get Kaepernick. They didn't get rid of Alex Smith and then hope to find a quarterback. You see the Chiefs. They, again, have Alex Smith, and they don't get rid of him. They go out and they get him Holmes and keep Alex Smith around until they know that they're ready to hand the torch over. I think that's what the Vikings are going to do with Kirk Cousins. He is a known commodity. They know what they have in him. They know that he can be average to above average. And stat-wise, analytics, he can be top 5 in the league in those stats. He's shown that. Whether or not it translates onto the field into wins, that's the other question, right? That's where my disdain for Kirk Cousins comes from, is that he's not the guy going out there winning you games like that. But I feel like they're going to find a way to kind of tell Kirk, hey, you're no longer getting these fully guaranteed deals. We have to build a team. We have to build a roster around you. We're getting you coaches and stuff like that are going to be able to help you offensively, but you got to work with us, because otherwise there's just not going to be a future for us together. And he said that he wants to stay with the team for the rest of his career.
And you will end up in the same situation that the Packers are if they do not rework that deal.
Absolutely. So I think that they will work this offseason to lower his cap hit, extend him to a 3-year deal that lowers his cap number, doesn't fully guarantee everything, and gives them an out after a year or so. And then they are going to continue to start to bring in pieces, guys, to see who can be the next quarterback. And then they'll end up moving on from Kirk after a year or so. It's not necessarily the flashy move that I like, but I think that it's probably the smartest move going forward. And I think that's what Kwesi is going to do. He's going to go with what's the smartest way to keep his team competitive while also looking forward to the future. I think that's the way that they'll end up going. That's why I think Kirk will end up being the best quarterback in the NFC North next year.
Yeah.
But that's just my little 2 cents on that.
Got a comment here. Spicy Mike. Oh, we got a couple of them.
Yeah. Well,
let's go up to the top there.
All right. Devontae wants quarterback money. I wouldn't want to trade that.
Yeah. Yep. So we got a couple. Mike's been drinking already before we even start playing golf.
That many picks to pay him that much.
And then he ties it all together. One last one. There we go.
All right.
Devontae wants quarterback money. I wouldn't trade away that many picks. So here's the thing. Cleveland is looking at about $40 million under the cap next year without knowing what the salary cap is. Jarvis Landry is going to command about $16 million. We have no dead cap with Jarvis. He will be gone. So $16 million that was going to go to Jarvis goes to Devontae. We tack on an extra $6 million a year, and we absolutely can make that deal work. Now, do I like giving up the picks? Not necessarily, but I absolutely think we can. It would be okay. That means we're going to roll with Baker as our guy, which everybody knows I am in full support of Baker running it back at least one more year to see what he looks like healthy. So, I mean, if we can do that, we can bring Devontae in. I'm all about it, because there's going to be some salary cap casualties in Cleveland this summer, and it's going to be brutal. We're going to end up probably with about $80 million in cap space if it goes up to the 215 that they're talking about, and we lose guys like an Austin Hooper, Jarvis Landry. I
think you could even go higher than that. I think I've heard 222, 224 is possible.
Yeah, so we're looking at a shitload of cap space, and if I'm gonna pay a wide receiver quarterback money, this is the year to do it, and we have the capital to do it. We also got 2 extra
load that contract,
front load it, just like we did with Jarvis's contract. We have 2 extra 3rd-round picks. So if they want 2 1s and a 3,
2 extra 3rd-round picks, because the Vikings hired your guy, they're getting compensatory picks for having a person of color being hired from another organization.
Absolutely. So we have the capital to do it. I want it so bad. I don't know if we will, though. But that's what I'm pulling for, because they're done.
I understand why you'd want to go after one of those top-end wide receivers. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? The market for him is going to be big.
It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. But I guess that kind of can lead us into
last weekend. Yeah, because
again, quite possibly the best weekend of playoff football that has
ever watched. I think
I'm pretty sure it's the best I've ever seen. Every single one of those games was awesome.
Yeah, well,
for their own reasons.
Yeah, so I was a big fan of the way basically all of these games went, except for one. Well, I mean, I lost the bet because we didn't.
I lost that on several $100s.
Yeah, but it was still fucking great football.
Phenomenal football.
So let's start it off. First game of the weekend was Bengals Titans.
Yep.
And
real close game, 19-16, with the Bengals winning.
Game-winning kick by a rookie kicker coming up fucking clutch. And it was a really back and forth competitive game. I expected more points. The Titans did a good job slowing things down. They did a pretty good job on
Sack and Burrow.
Yeah, well, 9 sacks.
For them to go out after tying the record for most sacks in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And the Bengals are still able to get the win. Pretty incredible.
Burrow's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm so jealous of the Bengals right now. Joe Burrow is an absolute stud. I love Baker, but Burrow is a dude. Burrow is going to win an MVP at some point. I don't know if he'll win a Super Bowl because he's on the Bengals. We'll see how that organization continues to build. That guy's winning a fucking MVP, and he might win one next year.
Yeah. And look, Derrick Henry is back. He didn't have much of a factor in this
He wasn't
game.
full Derrick Henry like people were saying. Oh, he's going to be. He's fully healthy. No, he wasn't. I mean, you can see it. I mean, he had some good runs. They did a pretty good job of bottling him up, though. And that Bengals defense has been much maligned most of the year, not being able to stop the run. They did a fantastic job on Derrick Henry. Tannehill did not have any more mustard in the pocket, as the old Vanilla Gorilla would say.
Yep.
And he was just handing the ball over to the Bengals.
And look, that's the thing, is that when the Titans had their spree of losing, it was multiple turnovers that was killing them. Usually 3 turnovers a piece that were killing them. And that's exactly what Tannehill did.
Yeah.
Turn the ball over a lot. And Tannehill is going to be the crux of that team.
He's boom or bust. Yeah. That is it.
Look, he can be a starter in this league. He can be an okay quarterback, but is he the guy to take you over the top? And it's not. He's not.
No, he's not.
They got to find a way to fix that quarterback position there. Otherwise, the Titans are going to be stuck in mediocrity, albeit probably still going to the playoffs here and there, but stuck in mediocrity.
I mean, but that we saw that in the past with the Rams, constantly going 8-8. They just never could get any better because they were always in the middle position. They couldn't get dudes in there. And the Titans are kind of in danger of being in that realm. They're really good. Derrick Henry's a fucking stud. They need more. They need better quarterback play. Tannehill at one point played like he looked like he was going to be an MVP candidate when he first got there. And that now he's kind of fallen back to his mean. And it absolutely killed the Titans in this game. Bengals get a massive win. And right down to the end, rookie kickers always scare the shit out of me. That kid has got ice running through his veins, man. Yep. He is so good. They trust that kid.
And he's got that little bit of cockiness about him.
Which I mean, if you're a kicker or a punter, you better act like you got the biggest swinging dick in the room, because
tell him, bro, we got
this shit.
Before he even goes out for the kick, he's like, we're going to the championship, baby. Yeah. Before he makes the kick, that's fucking awesome. I like that.
Yeah, I love that kind of belief in yourself, that moxie. And great game, which rolled us right into
my favorite game. Look, this is 2 games. Obviously, all these games were phenomenal, but my 1A game is this, 1B game is our last game on Sunday. But for me personally, this just was the game, baby. This is why the light is back on for me as well. 49ers go into Lambeau and beat the Green Bay Packers, the best quarterback in the NFL, and all this bullshit. They win 13-10 and don't score on offense. Basically, it was special teams and defense for the 49ers.
Their offense looked pretty good that first drive, and then it went to complete dog shit. I was so frustrated watching this game. I was like, come the fuck on, Aaron, do something. And it never fucking happened.
You know why? Because all he did was throw 2 checkdowns to the running back or Devontae Adams. It's like, it doesn't matter if he's triple cover, I'm going to throw to Devontae. Alan Lazard had 1 target.
Yeah.
He didn't use any of the other weapons on his team. He was just so fucking focused on Devontae that offense was crippled.
It was. They could not get anything going. Niners played great defense. They ran the ball pretty well in the second half. Not a great first half showing, but they got going. They did enough to kind of put themselves. They didn't even really do much to put themselves in the position to win. The Packers gave this fucking game away, and they did it on special teams. Allowed a blocked field goal, blocked punt for a touchdown, and then last play of the game, They're going to block the field goal to try to keep it and go to overtime. And they only had 10 fucking guys on the field. That off the special teams coordinator, if he's not already fired, he is going to be. That was atrocious. Special teams is not normally a thing that will win you a game, but it will absolutely fucking lose you a game. And that's exactly what lost this game for the Packers, because they were terrible in that facet of the game. And then they didn't get anything going on offense.
Yeah, it was a pretty fucking wild game. Because you have what everyone's calling the greatest quarterback out there on the field right now and everything, and he's not able to overcome the situation at home in Lambeau with the snow falling. Look, I was ready to cry. I was just so fucking happy.
Oh, I saw your post on the Lineman Lounge page.
It was everything and more than I could have asked for in a game. To see special teams be the poison pill that takes down the Packers. Look, I called it. I called them 49ers going in there against all odds. The Evolytics worked out.
It did. Packers
going down. Bye-bye. They can't beat these 49ers in the fucking playoffs, man.
I don't understand it. I just don't know what to say. Like, congratulations, 49ers. We'll see what happens this week. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But hey, they played good enough to win.
Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Yep.
Especially this time of the year. Good enough to win.
Yep.
So
next we go into Sunday and we have our first game, the Rams and the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay.
And which ended up being Tom Brady's
last game. Yep. And the Rams started with commanding control of this game. It looked like it was kind of over. And then
Tom did Tom things.
The Bucs are able to fight back, and they make it a hell of a game.
Yeah, I thought the Buccaneers were going to win. I thought Tom was going to engineer another fucking miraculous comeback like he did in the Super Bowl, down 28-3, and they just came up just slightly short. The Rams were scuffling. They looked really, really good early. Then Bucs got going. Rams have a chance to kind of put this game away, and their kicker comes up short from like 47 yards. I was like, oh, that's it. The fucking game's over. How do you come up short from 47 in a playoff game in Tampa? Like, it's not freezing cold down there. I was like, this is it. And then Matt Gay comes back. Big kick at the end to win the game, kind of redeems himself. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, fuck, here we go. This is going to happen again. They finally got it done. Matthew Stafford gets his first playoff win. And they're on to the next round. I'm very excited to talk about that game coming up. I could not believe it got close again, but god damn, it was a good football game again.
Yeah, the games, look, if you're rooting for one of these teams, of course you want to see a blowout because you just want to see your path to the Super Bowl be easy. Yeah. As a football fan, these games that come down to the end where there's this much drama and this much anxiety and tension, you can't ask for anything better. When the Rams were pulling away, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to win my bet. That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. And then as it gets close, I was like worried about my bet, but I'm like so entertained and so enthralled in how close and just the fight at the end of this game. I was like, this is incredible. This is fucking awesome football. We can only hope to see that again this week. I don't know if we will, but the way that these games turned out, I wish we could have that again this week.
I hope so.
Like, even if it was the same teams, I would love to watch those games again. It was awesome. And that takes us to our last game of the weekend.
My opinion, the best game of the weekend.
If I wasn't such a Packer hater, this would obviously be it.
Yeah, and
this would be the game. This was a Super Bowl game.
This should have been.
This is what you want to see in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Incredible shootout from two of the best quarterbacks in the league. You have the Bills and the Chiefs, a game that ends up going to overtime, something like 200 and something yards in like the last couple minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Of offense.
It was insane.
Just both of these quarterbacks could not be stopped. Josh Allen is so fucking good.
He is so goddamn good. So a lot of people on the Cleveland Browns who are like, anybody who's saying that they wanted Josh Allen in that draft, they're just full of shit. It's like, Well, I think most people probably are, but I was big on Josh Allen. I loved Josh Allen, but I mean, I went to high school in Wyoming, so I follow the Wyoming Cowboys football team. And when that Wyoming team has a guy, everybody from Wyoming knows it. So I knew who this kid was. I was a little worried about, some of his accuracy coming out, but he's worked through that. He is absolutely fucking special. He is so goddamn good, and he's gonna continue to get better. I want to see what happens with that offense now that Dayball's gone, but I don't think Josh Allen's taken a step back. He played lights out, made plays when he had to. He did everything that he needed to do to win that game, and they didn't. And that has got to hurt Josh Allen, Bills fans, and we're going to probably talk about that overtime.
Yeah.
And the rules in the overtime.
Most people, that's been the discussion, is that based on a coin flip, only one team ended up getting the ball in this game.
Right.
And so I would like to see the overtime rules changed, not necessarily just because of this game, but I mean, I do feel a little bit cheated that I didn't get to see
Josh Allen go back out there.
But these were the rules, and I'm not going to say like the rules were unfair.
No, the rules were the rules. That's
I just
exactly
think
the way it's always
for the sport, it would be nice for them to change it up. Regular season that wins the coin flip wins 55% of the time. Yeah. It's they still win more, but it's not overly dramatic. In the playoffs, the team that wins the coin flip wins like 90% of the time.
That's a problem.
Yeah. It's obviously Chiefs won fair and square. We're not debating that. They won based on the rules. That's the way that it goes. But I think that a change to the overtime rules would do good for the NFL because it allows you to have, I mean, the NFL is based on their quarterbacks and the quarterback play. They love their quarterbacks. Why not let this guy go out and have a chance to?
Well, and the Chiefs tried to push for that rule change a couple of years ago, and it got shot down. The Bills did not vote in favor of that rule change where both teams will get a possession regardless of what happens with the first possession, a touchdown, field goal, or punt.
Yep. And so as far as the overtime rule changes, there's been a lot of different options thrown out there as what to do. The big thing is that you have to have it be even and fair and not give one other team an advantage. So if you go out there and allow the opportunity like college rules and stuff like that, where one team goes out and they get based on how they score a field goal or touchdown, it actually still ends up leaning in favor of one team or the other because the other team knows what they have to do. If they have to score a touchdown or if they have to score a field goal, it makes a difference. You have to find a way to not have it leverage one team or the other based on the coin flip and who gets the ball first.
Right.
So I've talked about this and I've thought through it a little bit more. I've heard some interesting options as far as an auction system where teams auction up where they start and stuff like that, but they both get the ball. I'm not as big of a fan of that. I would love to be able to push this forward somehow, my idea, just because
obviously you like your own idea.
I'm gonna love my own idea, and I'm open to criticisms on this for sure. But what I've got here is each team gets the ball and goes to a shootout. So I'll explain it here a little bit further. So you do a coin flip still to see who gets the ball first, and then whoever gets the ball first or the other team gets to choose which direction they end up going, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But each team will start 60 yards away from the end zone. All right, so on the opposing team's 40. They have 3 minutes. They put a timer on 3 minutes. You got 3 minutes to go down the field. You can only score a touchdown. No chance for a field goal. You can only score a touchdown. All right. If you don't score a touchdown, the other team gets the ball. If they score a touchdown, you lose. Right. Each team gets 2 timeouts. There is no 2-minute warning. So no stoppage clock for that, but they still get 2 timeouts. All reviews are done by the booth.
Upstairs, yep.
Just like they do in the normal overtime rules. All right. So can only score a touchdown. And then at the end of the touchdown, there's no extra point, no 2-point conversion. It is just touchdown or not. All right. So if both teams don't score a touchdown or at the end of those 2 possessions, the score is still tied, then we go into the shootout, which is the kickoff.
Yeah. All right? I love the kickoff idea.
So just like in hockey, where you can have a shootout, guys just take a shot on goal. You have 5 shots from each kicker. You start off at the 40-yard line, and you have 5 attempts, and they move the ball back each time. 5 yards. So the 40-yard line, 45, 50, 55, and a 60-yarder. All right, which 60 yards we know is pushing the limits for some of these NFL kickers.
Oh, yeah.
You have Justin Tuckers and stuff like that, which can make those kicks, but not every kicker can do it. And it puts more emphasis now on the kicker and makes them more important on the team. So each team gets 5 attempts. You go from the 40, the 45, the 50, 55, and the 60. Whoever comes out at the end of that with the highest score wins the game. And if they're still tied at the end of that, you just keep on doing kicks from the 60 until one team doesn't make a kick, because it will happen. Those aren't 100% hit rate kicks. You will miss on those 60s.
Those are less than 50. Yeah. So I don't hate the idea. I would change the beginning portion. For me, I want to watch more normal ass football. Give me a 10-minute quarter, 10-minute period where we're playing normal fucking football. And at the end of that 10 minutes, if the score is still tied, then we go to the kickoff. Because I don't want to see, you start from here, you start from here. Let's just play normal ass NFL football.
I thought about that, but that still can give an advantage to one team or the other, because you can see 10-minute drives in the NFL. One team could have the ball for an entire 10 minutes. And the reason why I had it condensed down to that 3 minutes per team is because we don't want to have a game go into 5 overtimes or something like that.
No, because they're talking about player safety, and
we want to keep obviously the game is going to be extended, but you don't want it to be extended so long that the winning team goes on and now is extremely exhausted for the next game, and B, you don't want to introduce too much opportunity for injury and things like that.
Right.
That's why I wanted to have it condensed and bookend. This is how much time you have. Each team gets that same amount of time, so that way one team isn't favored in time position over the other, that sort of situation. If I could and I didn't have to worry about player safety and that sort of stuff, then I just want to see more football.
Yeah.
Then I just want to see like an extra quarter type thing.
Right. All right. Well,
and I'm not even saying to do this during the regular season.
No, I
think this is
specifically for the playoffs,
rules,
because you can't go to a tie. If they tie in the regular season, they tie in the next season, whatever. But you obviously can't have that in the playoffs. But this fucking Chiefs team was so good. They made plays when they had to. I did not think that they had that 13 seconds left on the clock to get down in the field goal range, and they somehow find a way to do it. Litton, Tyreek Hill, get open. Bills defense, that was tough. The Travis Kelce getting open and having enough time to call that timeout. I thought, you squib kick or short pooch kick that thing, so they got to use some time there. They kick it out of the end zone. That gives the Chiefs enough time to run 2 plays, get down in field goal range, tie this game up, and then obviously we talked about overtime. Chiefs get the ball, and they go down. They score a touchdown. I mean, this was a back and forth shootout fucking game all game. The coin toss was probably winning the game, no matter who won it, because that's how good those offenses were that day.
Yep, absolutely. All right, man.
All right, let's do it.
We're coming to the home stretch. We want to try to wrap this up in hopefully about 30 minutes, so that way we can get to golf.
Yeah, we got some golf to play at 3 o'clock, and we got to hurry, too, because it still gets dark early as shit. So.
Absolutely. All right, so our first game on Sunday is the Bengals and the Chiefs being played in Kansas City. The Bengals are coming in as underdogs. Kansas City -7 on the line, over under a 54.5. They're expecting this game to be a shootout. I expect it to be a shootout as well, because both of these defenses, particularly the Chiefs defense, not as good as the Bengals defense, but the Bengals defense is a little bit beat up, and they're going to be tired. They're getting tired after these fucking grudge matches. Yeah. This is a tough one, because the Chiefs, they do seem like they should come out victorious. I would say I'm leaning towards the Chiefs winning, but I like the underdog story. I'm going to go with the Bengals plus the points if I'm betting, but I'm hoping that the Bengals are able to win. Because I would love to see that underdog team win. And we did have a comment earlier from Mike Aarons concerning baseball and Barry Bonds. We'll get to that at the end, Mike. Don't you fucking worry.
Yeah, so he just sent me. Were you in the group text? Was that a group text? Okay.
For me, I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, but I'm rooting for the Bengals. I'm rooting for the Bengals. I would like to see that underdog win. And I know some people are going to say, well, aren't the 49ers also an underdog? Why aren't you rooting for them? Little foreshadowing. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but I'm not.
Yeah.
But I think the Bengals can beat the Chiefs. They did beat the Chiefs at the end of the regular season.
Absolutely.
However, that was with the Chiefs team that wasn't necessarily playing everybody. Right. It was the end of the year. This is playoff football, and we've seen nothing but excellence from the Chiefs, especially on offense. You look at last week. that's tough to stop for any defense. This game for me, like I said, if I'm betting, I'm taking the Bengals plus the points. I think the Chiefs are going to win, but my heart is with the Bengals on this one.
So I thought you were going to go the other way. So I am on the Chiefs in this game. They just got done winning one of the greatest football games I've ever seen. They're going to be riding an emotional high. The Bengals are well surpassed what I thought they could do this year. They're playing great football. I just think that the Chiefs have been here. They know how to do this. Joe Burrow is a stud, but we're starting to talk about getting into the Super Bowl, and I think the moment maybe get a little bit too big. Chiefs have been playing better on defense. Both these teams are going to score a shitload, though, because neither one of those defenses are fantastic. We saw a shootout late in the year with these two teams. I think the game will be closer than the score is. I'm taking the Chiefs to cover the -7. The way I see this kind of going down is that this game will be fairly close, and then the Chiefs are going to have the chance towards the end of the game to put this thing away, and they're going to score that touchdown, and they're going to win by 10 points here. They're going to get that late touchdown, force the Bengals to have to do some crazy stuff at the end of the game, and I don't know that they'll be able to get it done. So I am on Chiefs, -7. The only way I see it going otherwise is if Joe Mixon just has a fucking day and can run all over this defense. But for me, I think that we're going to see a ton of passing in this game. I don't know what the weather looks like over in Kansas City right now.
43 and sunny is what they're projecting for the game.
Yeah, so weather's pretty good. They're going to be airing it out. Jamar Chase is going to have a day. Tyreek Hill is going to have a day. Travis Kelce is going to fucking go off. This is going to be exciting. This is going to be a super, super exciting game, I think. The game will be closer than the score. Chiefs -7. And I'm taking the over on 54.5 because it's going to be a fucking shootout.
Yep, I see both teams scoring into the 30s.
Yeah.
All right. And then next we have the 49ers and the Rams being played in Inglewood. Look, it's Rams -3.5 right now with an over-under of 45.5. I love the 49ers for what they did last week.
Right.
I do. Joe Rockstar, we had conversations on social media about how the 49ers, he's tired of people discounting the 49ers against the Rams, and I don't want to discount that. However, it's the playoffs. It's a little bit different. The 49ers have well outperformed against teams that they probably should have been beaten by, both the Cowboys and the Packers. And I applaud them for doing that. They're playing way above expectations right now. They're a good team, but they are beat up. They are tired. They're banged up from these past two games. I mean, Debo is not 100%. He's going to play, but he's not 100%. Trent Williams is still questionable.
Yeah, still questionable.
Garoppolo has the thumb injury, and also he just doesn't play well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He might be doing enough to get it done, but he doesn't play great.
And I think that stops here.
Look, against this Rams defense, it's tough. I would like to see this game again be another one of those close, good fights. I don't know that I see it happening.
I don't see it happening either. So betting with my head, I got the Rams -3.5, and I have the over 45.5. I think they'll put up enough points to go over that. If I were picking with my heart, I would be picking the 49ers in this game. Not because of any other reason than the fact that I don't want OBJ to go to the fucking Super Bowl. The 49ers have played way better than anybody expected. They have outkicked their coverage. They have gone and done things that I did not expect. I'm very surprised and happy for Niners fans. I think the Rams are a better team. So I think they will win and they will cover. They are really starting to hit their stride. I think Cam Akers had a rough go.
A lot of fumbles
In that Bucs game. I think he can bounce back. We'll see how much they get him the ball. But I don't want the Rams to win. I want them to win so I can make money, but I don't want them to win. OBJ was obviously a member of the Browns. There was some contention. Things broke down. He's released. He goes elsewhere. I was totally good with all that. Like, it wasn't working. I understand. Get out, go and be successful. What I have a problem with is some of the stories that have come out this week, where during the offseason, Von Miller was looking to possibly go somewhere else, maybe being traded. And OBJ during the offseason is telling players, do not come to Cleveland. That is a bad look. Now, we got OBJ fans saying he was a really good teammate inside the locker room. He was trying to make things work, and they didn't, and it's Baker's fault. With these stories, Von Miller is the one that said this. Von Miller said, OBJ told me not to go to Cleveland. That is not a good teammate. That is not good for an organization. That is incredibly selfish, because he had already asked to get traded out of Cleveland in the offseason. It didn't happen. And then he told people not to go there. So fuck OBJ. I don't want the Rams to win. I'll be ecstatic if the 49ers win, except I want some motherfucking money. So I am going to take the Rams -3.5 because I bet with my head, not my heart.
I also will be taking the Rams -3.5 on this one.
And I'm going with the over. So,
and that's at the end of the day, my prediction for this Super Bowl. And I think the best Super Bowl that we can hope for, two best teams, is going to be the Chiefs and the Rams.
Chiefs, I think this.
I think that is the Super Bowl that will put on the best show.
I
at
agree.
The end of the day, the two most talented teams that are left in the playoffs.
Now, I do have a same game parlay on Caesars for this Rams and 49ers game. So I like these kicker points that you can get on Caesars. So I got Matt Gay over 6.5 total points scored. Cam Akers score a touchdown. Eli Mitchell over 69.5 rushing yards. 49ers are going to have to run the ball. I got Eli Mitchell scoring a touchdown. I think he'll get in the end zone. I got Odell going over 52.5. Fuck Odell, but he's going to have an impact in this game. And I got Deebo Samuel over 53.5 receiving yards. Not doing anything on the rushing. I think Deebo will have some opportunities depending on who he sees in coverage. If he's locked up with Jalen Ramsey all game, that's going to be a tough number to hit. That's the one I'm worried about. But that's what I got for a same game parlay. I put $25 on that. I feel pretty confident with most of this stuff. 25 wins me $1,150. So that would be super fucking dope. But that's where I'm at on this game. I do expect a little bit more points than we typically see out of these teams. That's why I'm going over there as well.
Now, if we see some crazy play by Garoppolo, I mean, that makes this game way closer.
I mean, he's in a position right now where he should have that extra fire, extra motivation to go out and ball out. Can he do it? I don't know.
Yeah. All right, man. Are you ready to wrap up the show and get back to this one question from Mike Aarons?
Yeah. So let's hit this question from Mike. All right. So football thoughts on the Giants letting Barry Bonds suit up for one more game to restart his Hall of Fame counter. I think it would be fucking awesome. Just stick it to the baseball writers of America. Tell them to eat shit. Teams could do whatever the hell they want. And then now he's played. He's got to wait 5 years to go back into the Hall of Fame and gets another 10 years on the ballot.
You think that he's been juicing it all since not playing?
I don't give a fuck. Sure.
No, I'm not. I don't really care. But I mean, how long is it going
it.
to take for him to get it out of his system so that way he can?
No, I think he's probably been off for a while. He's just got to suit up. Go stick him out in the outfield for an inning.
That's true.
He didn't need to swing the bat. Hopefully nobody hits it to him because he's probably not moving very well.
Are they going to make this some sort of a precedent? Really, like, we're going to have Pete Rose go and manage one more game.
Pete Rose is actually banned from baseball, so he can't be signed. Barry Bonds is not banned from baseball, but that is a fantastic idea. I had never even considered it. Barry Bonds is a fucking Hall of Famer. He's one of the best players of all time, if not the best. He has the most MVPs, most home runs. People, at one point, he was up to bat with bases loaded, and they intentionally walked him to let him score a run because they were worried he's going to fucking hit one over the goddamn fence. That's how good and dominant this guy was. He is a Hall of Famer. Period. Now, you can get into steroids. The whole fucking era was entrenched in steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa saved baseball after the lockout because they were on steroids and were just hitting absolute fucking nukes trying to see who was going to have that record.
All over the place. Dingers all over the place.
Yeah, fucking hit dingers, bro. Like it was good for baseball. Steroids were good for baseball.
They were.
I get it. People don't like steroids. It was good for the game. Am I glad they're out of it for the most part now? Yeah. But that era, baseball was dying in this country when that was happening because of the fucking lockout, and that brought it back.
Absolutely. So, all right, man. Well, I think that wraps it up for the week.
I think it does, man. This was fun. Now I do want to kind of do one little piece of housekeeping. So you guys may have seen on social media, we were supposed to have Cool FM here today. They were not able to make it. Some other things come up. I mean, we all got normal jobs. He had to go work his normal job. We're going to try to get something next week, have a little interview, and then we're going to do a segment. They can spotlight us a little bit. So shout out to the guys at Cool FM. I understand things come up, things happen in life. No hard feelings. Hopefully we can catch you guys next week. I'm kind of excited to do that. Get us out to a bigger audience. Maybe some people that don't know about us will see us and want to tune in. And we're also talking about maybe doing a giveaway at some point, little interaction contest. So that'll be fun.
But yeah, man, I'm ready to go. Well, for one, I have to take big shit. You gotta, and then we got some golf.
Yes, we got a little grumpy brewing, and then we gotta hurry up, get changed. You gotta head back to the house, grab your sticks, and then we gotta hit the golf course.
Absolutely.
I'm so pumped, man. I'm really excited to swing that new 4 hybrid I got. Producer Amber got it for my birthday. So thank you, love you. And yeah, man, I'm pumped to play golf. Trying to get a little more fit. Been working out this week. I am a little stiff though, so we'll see how the swing looks.
You got to get some birdie juice in you.
Yeah, birdie juice sounds real good. Probably gonna drink a beer, even though I'm not supposed to because we are dieting.
Just get a Mick Ultra.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get something. I mean, maybe I'll do a little mimosa or something. Maybe. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
All righty. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to our special today, going over some local sports, some other happenings around the league, and, of course, NFL championship weekend football. We're getting ready for the Super Bowl in the coming weeks here, so we'll have some fun stuff to talk about then.
Oh, yeah.
But unless you got anything else, Mike, I think that should put a bow on it.
I got nothing else, guys. Thank you very much. Check us out on. Oh, we do have something else.
Oh, fuck.
I forgot we had to do this. Now, I haven't made a TikTok in a while because, well, TikTok banned the last account. Well, let's go ahead and turn that way the fuck down. Banned the last account, and I still cannot figure out why. There was no nudity. I mean, there's curse words. Most of it was like stuff from coaching. So we are going to make a TikTok right now.
All righty.
Now where the hell?
I think this is like potentially one of my first official TikToks.
Ooh. So I've done a couple in the past. Producer Amber actually put most of the stuff together for the football stuff. But let's see. We'll do a 3-minute. It won't take that long. All right. Let's just fucking hit go. See what happens. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the Lineman Lounge coming to you on TikTok again, on Lineman Lounge 2.0. The last account got banned for some reason. I am here with my co-host, Evo. And we just want to say hi. Well, we're trying to reintroduce ourselves to TikTok. We want to engage on here, but we also have a special message for TikTok. I don't know why I got banned, but I would just sincerely like to say, go fuck yourself. I don't know what the fuck your guys' problem is, but TikTok can lick my asshole.
And they can suck my dick from the back.
We will be back with more content, assuming we don't get banned again for this. Check us out on all of social media and right here on TikTok.
All right, everybody. That has been the Lineman Lounge for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you all have a great weekend. Hopefully we have some phenomenal football again tomorrow. Stay safe, be happy, and have a good one. We'll see you later, guys.
See you.
Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6.